So, because this is not authentic brown stew oxtails, I do not have green seasoning, so I'm going to make this the best way I can. This is going to be the American version. So we're going to start out with some oxtails. I have approximately 2 pounds, 1.5 pounds of oxtails, and I have 1.5 pounds of beef stew chunks. You cannot quite tell which each one is because I did wash them with some salt and some vinegar. I did not have any lemon juice or limes to clean it, so I used a little vinegar. But I am using about 1.5 to 2 pounds of oxtails, and the beef stew chunks is about 1.5 pounds. So I'm going to start with my bell peppers. I'm going to cheat some, and I'm using some frozen bell peppers and onions. Like I said, this is the American style. Now, if you want to chop it up, you can. But this is just some frozen bell peppers and onions. This is 1 diced Roma tomato. I have 1 tablespoon of thyme, fresh thyme. Gonna get it all out. I have 1 tablespoon of fresh rosemary that has been coarsely chopped. I have 1 teaspoon of garlic, ½ teaspoon of ginger. And we're going to add a little bit of clove to this. This is going to be about 1/4 of a teaspoon, just a pinch of cloves. Going to add some seasoning salt. Not much because more will be added when this is cooked. Going to use my salad and vegetable herb blend. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon. Going to use 1 teaspoon of parsley. Going to use 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. Going to use ½ teaspoon of Badia curry powder. I know it may not call for curry, but I want some curry in this. But just about ½ teaspoon of curry. And I'm going to use about 1 teaspoon of the Badia Complete. And I'm going to add some browning to this. And I'm going to add about 1.5 teaspoons. And some black pepper. This is to taste. If you want, you can add Cajun seasoning. But with all the other herbs and spices and stuff that I've added, you probably won't have to add the Cajun seasoning. Now we're going to mix this all together. Now, if you want, you can use your hands and mix this all together. Whew, I caught it again. What they say, it ain't seasoned if you ain't sneezing. So I'm just going to mix this all together really, really well. And like I said, they usually add green seasoning and probably some other herbs and spices, but I don't have all of that stuff. And I didn't feel like making any green seasoning. This is my version. And do I have a Scotch bonnet? No, I don't have a Scotch bonnet. But I probably will add a habanero pepper in it, which is not the same as a Scotch bonnet, but that will be added later on in the recipe when this is ready to be prepared. So just gonna mix this all up. And this is what it should look like. Once it is completely mixed up, I'm going to place this in a Ziploc bag and it is going to sit in the refrigerator overnight until I am ready to cook this. This will be cooked inside my pressure cooker, so it's going to speed up the process some. And we are going to cook some delicious rice and peas, because you gotta have some brown stew, oxtails, and beef with rice and peas. So we're gonna let this marinate, like I said, overnight inside a Ziploc bag, and we'll be coming back to this tomorrow. And we're gonna continue this cooking process. I have my meat inside of a container, and this is going to sit at the bottom of the fridge overnight until I am ready to cook. Okay, so these are the oxtails and the beef, and I was supposed to cook them the next day. It is actually 2 days later, but you can see everything is fully marinated, and I'm going to saute them, the meat, inside of my pressure cooker. Once I saute everything, then I'm going to make a broth, and I'm going to cover it all up and let this pressure cook for 45 minutes. For my rice and peas, as I said, this is my American Caribbean version of this meal because I don't have all the authentic ingredients, but I'm going to do it the best way I can. I am adding a little bit of olive oil to the pot. I have some butter. This is about a good 8 tablespoons. You can tell the difference between the Kerrygold butter and the regular butter. I am adding both to here. This is going to give the rice some really good richness. I'm cooking this on medium-low heat. And I'm going to saute some frozen bell peppers and onions. Like I said, this is the quick and easy version. This is bell peppers and onions with a teaspoon of minced garlic. I'm going to add that to there. And I have some thyme. Literally, I got time. And I'm going to let this all saute. This is sauteing and is going to cook while I have the meat sauteing. And we'll be right back. So what you see is the vegetables and the herbs all sauteing. And this right here is approximately a little quarter of a jalapeno that I had in my fridge. Actually, I cut. There was a half a jalapeno, and I cut that jalapeno in half. And I'm just adding this to it. Why? Because I don't have a Scotch bonnet. So, this is going to add a hint of heat. And I'm just going to saute this all together. And then we're going to add the ingredients. The rice and the peas. Okay, as you can see here, my meat has come to a really nice boil. I've stirred it a few times and it has been sauteing here for about a good 8 minutes. I am now going to add about 2.5 cups of Better Than Bouillon, the beef, and I added 1 tablespoon of the Better Than Bouillon beef and a half a teaspoon of the Better Than Bouillon chicken base and 2 cups of hot water. The chicken is going to add some little extra flavor, but I am going to stir this, and because we want to make sure we don't lose all of those flavors, I'm going to add some seasoning to this, and then we're going to cover this. So in this, I'm adding a little bit of Cajun mixed with the Nor's caldo de tomate de pollo, or the tomato bouillon chicken mix that you get. I'm adding about 1 tablespoon, and I'm adding some complete. I know my Caribbean folks saying I messed up this whole thing, but you know what? Like I said, this is the American version, and I don't have all the ingredients. This is my version. I'm adding about 1 teaspoon, 1 to 2 teaspoons of the complete. And I'm going to mix this up. Give this a good mix. I'm going to add a pinch more of that kitchen bouquet or browning seasoning. Just gonna add a little bit. This stuff is concentrated, so you really don't have to add much. That was about 1 teaspoon. And I don't have a Scotch bonnet or anything to put in here. So I'm going to let this cook. I'm going to pressure cook this and let this cook for 45 minutes. I'm going to turn off the saute and get my lid. This is my Cuisinart pressure cooker. Gotta make sure I get it right because I'm always goofing up on this thing. Pressure. Make sure it's not on pressure release. Okay, it's on pressure. Now to set this. Menu, high pressure. Put this on 45. Because we want to make sure. Ooh. Oh. Let me see if I could go back. There it go. As I get to 40, I'm going to make sure I go slower. Oh, there I go. Now I got to start over again. I tell you. Now I'm going to make sure I get it right. Oh, here I go. I can't mess it up. Okay, for real. This is my last time doing this. I guess it's because I'm trying to record and watch the numbers at the same time. 40, 45. Okay, I got it. And start. Gonna let this cook, and now to check on the vegetables for the rice and peas. For those of you who didn't know what I was talking about, this is what I was talking about for my tomato base. Alright, now that you see my vegetables are sizzling with the butter and the oil, I'm going to now add my rice. This is parboiled rice, and I have washed it. That's why it's stuck. There you go. This is going to be a lot of rice. A lot. I'm going to saute this. Let this get a little toasty in here. And I'm going to add my seasoning. Going to give it some nice flavor and a pinch of jerk. A pinch. Okay. That's about, with all the shaking, I'm going to calculate it to a good 2 teaspoons of the Lori's jerk seasoning. Now, I normally don't use this. I normally use the Grace jerk seasoning and stuff, but I didn't have time to go to the market to get that particular seasoning mix. Just gonna mix this all together. Yeah, I know Caribbean rice do not have this reddish color, but like I said, this is mine. And I'm basing it off of what I have available. I could have used probably some Cajun seasoning, but you know, oh well. Now I'm going to add my peas. I'm going to add my peas, and then I'm going to add my water to this. Get a little further away so you can see. Let this saute some. I'll be right back because now I'm about to add my water. Okay, to this I'm going to add a pinch of salt because the butter was unsalted. And some of this jerk seasoning. Just a pinch more. Just a pinch more because you know the water tones down those flavors and I want the flavors to come through again. And I'm going to add a pinch of black pepper. Going to give this a stir. And I'll be checking on this off and on to make sure that everything is cooked properly. And I know all my Caribbean friends are going to come at me. Like I said in the beginning, this is not authentic. I already know. And I do know the proper way to prepare this, but I'm going according to what I have in my kitchen. And you can add a bit of coconut milk. That'll really give these beans a nice flavor. So I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'm going to cover this and let this cook for about a good 20 minutes. And we're going to come back and check on this. But first, we're going to bring it to a boil. As you can see, most of the water has started to dissolve or be absorbed by the rice. And my pepper is still hanging on. It's just giving that little hint of heat. I don't want to cut this up because I don't want it to make the rice too spicy or anything. But it's just enough for the flavor. So now that most of the liquid has pretty much cooked out of the rice and the peas here, I am going to cover this up. Put this on a low temperature. And going to let this cook for an additional 15 to 20 minutes. I'll check on it. After 45 minutes, this is what our oxtails and beef look like. Now, I am going to thicken this up with a little cornstarch that I've mixed up. I'm just going to add some cornstarch to this. Got like 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of water. And I'm just going to stir this around till it gets a little thick. And then I am going to let this sit. But this is all nice and tender. They're like practically falling off the bone. The steam is causing it to fog up. This is the oil that I pulled off from the oxtails. Quite a bit, and some people say, oh, that's taking away the flavor. Well, I don't like oily food, so that's what was removed. So now let's go check out our rice and peas. Our rice and peas is done. And look at all of those fresh herbs. And there's the pepper still in its whole form. Just wanted that little bit of flavor. Now it's time to plate up this baby. And this is the plate. We got the cabbage. We have the rice and peas. Oxtails with some beef in there. And I'm telling you, this oxtail is so tender. Look, you can pull it off. And it literally only took 45 minutes. When I pulled it out, it was falling off the bone. That's how tender the oxtail was. It's so full of flavor. Okay, top. If you like this recipe, please click like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think of this American style, American Caribbean, Jamaican dish. Cabbage, rice and peas, and oxtails. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna call it. Jamaican. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it sounds good to me. If you like this recipe, please click share. I can't talk. Please click like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Yeah, my family about to chow down. Thank you for watching, and God bless.